Hi there, my name is Harresh, and today I will be presenting on my final year project entitled Development of an Innovation Process Methodology. My supervisor is Professor Ts.Dr. Sivarao Subramonian. Now let's get straight into it. So, development of an innovation methodology. What is that, you might ask? Well, first thing first is we got to understand on what is innovation? Well, innovation is a process and outcome of creating something new. Well, then you might ask, is it necessary? Is it important? Well, frankly, yes, as it is vital for companies as it gives an edge in penetrating new market faster. Plus, it develops the country economy into greater heights. Now, what are the ways to develop innovation? Well, there are a few, such as organizational innovation, process innovation, product innovation, and marketing innovation. Well, today we are going to focus specifically on organizational innovation as my research is going to help in solving, tackling the problem faced by this organization. Plus, all of this innovation are different in their approach in their respective fields. Now, how is my research going to help organization? Well, two words, which are innovation game. Well then, what is innovation game? Well, innovation game is frankly just like any other game. You are playing a game, but the only key difference is there are no winner or losers in this game. The only way to know when you end of the game is you know that your players have and trigger the innovative skills that are needed. Now moving on is what are the problem statements involved in this research? Well, many methodologies has been implemented for innovation, but most of them are traditional and conventional. To give an example, is like a group discussion because basically many of us will do group discussion in getting an innovative idea, but most of them will have one sleeping partner. Plus, there are very little research embarked in this game-based innovation where it makes my research more interesting as we could venture more deep into. Moving on to the objectives, well, we have three objectives and they are number one is to construct an innovation development gaming methodology, identify the innovation development gaming methodology, and also to verify and validate the proposed innovation gaming methodology. Moving on is the scopes. Well, what are the scopes? Like every other project, there must be a scope so that we could move in the right direction and we know that our project is literally completed. So in this case, there's no difference. I do have some limitation in scope, but I set a minimum of 3 to 5 players to play my innovative game, and also to develop a new innovation gaming methodology. So not an existing one that I found from a different paper, a new innovative gaming. And plus, the last is to test my gaming methodology to see if it's legit. Moving on, literature review. Well, for literature review, I've done some research. I've collected a few papers, read it, analyzed it, and I found out that innovative games can be categorized into two categories, which are open innovation games and also closed innovation games. Now, what is open innovation games and closed innovation games? Well, open innovation games are games played by literally anyone, like you and I. Whereas closed innovation games are normally played by a, a closed group where a company will have a problem and the staff are the players. Moving on, game-based innovation have research has received minimal research. So to quote a few, are one from Luke Hoffman, from Brian Burke, and also from Pearl Review. Next, methodology. So now let's see how I'm going to develop this methodology. So first thing first is to understand my topic well. To understand my topic, first I have to do some critical research. I have to go to analyze, read, and understand each and every paper. Like I said earlier, I have divided into two categories, which are open-based and also closed-based innovation. From this extensive research, I was able to define the parameters and framework stated in this paper. From that, I was able to understand more clearly and also able to identify the parameters and framework that I'm going to use. From that is now the developing of an innovation gaming methodology. So to do that, first is to select a game type. So for in this scenario, I've chosen a deck of cards as my game type. With selecting a game type now is I will have to develop a game structure and architecture, for example, like the instruction and rules for the players to follow and all. With that, I will start developing the game. Then I'll do a pilot test. So for this pilot test, it will literally be me and a few of my colleagues. Now, if the pilot test fails, I'll go up to my selection process and maybe even choose a different game type. Now, if it passed, I'm verifying it by doing prototype evaluation with a bigger and larger sample size. If that fails, I'll go up and reevaluate my gaming methodology. Maybe the deck of cards is wrong. So by doing this first pilot test, I would know whether I'm in the right test or I'm in the right step or I'm in the wrong step. Now, if it passed, I can go to my verification process where here I've I would I would divide it into two categories, which are ethnography method and also ANOVA method. For ethnography method is to define the qualitative parameters that I get. So to do this, I'll use face-to-face interview and player observation. Whereas ANOVA test is to documentate, is to calculate the the quantitative parameter. So to do that, I will do t-test and also f-test. With all the data gathered, I'll analyze it and do some discussion to see if this methodology is the right way to move forward in this project. With all that done, documentation of report. Now, game type, a deck of cards. Well, why I choose the deck of cards? Well, frankly, number one is cheap. You can literally get a deck of cards for low than 10 ringgit. And it's easy to get. You can walk into any convenience store, 7-Eleven, 99 Speed Market, and you can get it with no hassle. Besides, it has a simple gameplay, not like most other games, like for example, chess or even Monopoly. Some people find Monopoly hard. So using a deck of cards will be easy for them. But all of this will attract more people to play my innovation game. With more people playing innovation game, more people will get an innovation idea. It will trigger them more faster. And then it is the methodology. So like I said earlier in my flow, I'm going to test I'm going to test it using ethnography method first, where I'm doing face-to-face interview to get official statement, live statement from my players to see whether they really like the game or they find it hard to follow, or even do they get innovation idea at all. And to do that, I also will do some observation, of course. So in observation, I divide it into two types, which are live and work, where I will be I will be observing players whom I actually live with, like my housemate or my family members, so I can know their mindset, how they actually think, how they actually talk. So I will get to know more about their innovation idea is really triggering by the game or not. Another one is player observation is to test it by random players from different ethnicity, different age group, and different line of work. So all of this will be stated as an official statement for me to use. Next is an ANOVA method. So the ANOVA method, why I choose ANOVA is because there will be multiple groups I'll be testing with. So using ANOVA is able to calculate the variance of this group, and the result could be generated in a graph for better understanding to identify any overlaps as well. So with this, I'm using t-test and also f-test. With that, this comes the end of my development of an innovation methodology. I would like to say thank you and stay safe.